Go back even a few years and getting into VR meant strapping a brick to your face. The headsets were bulky and the pixels were easy to count with your naked eye. They worked, sort of, but nobody was fooled into thinking that that was the future. Then a little movie from 2008 called Ready Player One showed us what the future was supposed to be. Everybody slips on this sleek little visor and they're just gone, off in another world. There's no weight or bulk and there's no cable dragging behind them. That's the picture in everyone's head when they imagine where all this is going. And we've never really had that. There are headsets that are lightweight but compromise in nearly every other way. There are headsets like the Apple Vision Pro that look like they came from the movies but have major limitations like price, functionality, and overall weight. And then this showed up at my door, the Pimax Dream Air, 170 grams. That's lighter than the iPhone 7 Pro Max in your pocket. And it's not light because they cut corners on the screen. This headset was built around Sony's micro-OLED LED panels that, in my opinion, are the best image you can get in VR right now, with equally impressive lenses to match. That's the part nobody's pulled off, a headset with no compromises. But is it a good one? Well, I've been wearing it almost non-stop since I got it. Quick thing before I keep going, Pimax is sponsoring this review and their support of this channel is the reason I can even make this video. Working with Pimax allowed me to get into VR way deeper than I ever would have on my own. Now I've had the PSVR 2 on my face, Quest 2, Quest 3, every headset Pimax makes, so I've seen the whole spectrum from budget to high end. I've bought the PSVR 2 and the Quest 2 and 3 myself, so I have real comparisons. They asked for my honest feedback and they got it, and everything I told them is going into this review as well. There's a few flaws and we'll get into them. The Dream Air is the next evolution in the Pimax lineup. This is the Slam version, which means it has inside-out tracking and everything you need to be up and running comes in the box, including 2 controllers. The screens and lenses in the Dream Air aren't new, and that's a good thing. This is the same screen and lens setup that's been living in the Crystal Super Micro OLED that I've had since December, which in my opinion is still the best image quality you can get in VR. So when Pimax went to build the Dream Air, they weren't crossing their fingers on some unproven screen and lens combo. They already had the formula for production, and we basically beta tested the product already. The next step was just miniaturizing it. Of course, that's easier said than done, or everybody would do it. Look at the optical engine in the Crystal Super. There's a lot going on in there, and that's part of why it looks the way it does. The big aspheric lenses, they eat up most of the space in that 50 ppd engine. And you can see how much smaller they got using their new pancake optics. Now look at the Dream Air next to it. They took that same concept and fit it into a fraction of the space. But that's not a knock on the Crystal Super, it just shows how good the Crystal Super is. They built a whole new headset around its screen and lens combo. And what a screen that is. The panels are Sony Micro OLED 3840 by 3552 per eye. With an OLED screen, you get real blacks and contrast an LCD screen just can't touch. And because the resolution is this high, the screen and door effect is completely gone. There's no scenario I've found where I can pick out a single pixel. Pancake lenses are a new concave design Pimax calls concave view, and they're sharp edge to edge in a way I wasn't expecting from something this size. Clarity is the kind of thing I really can't do it justice with words or even the screen recording you're watching because you aren't able to see true VR from a flat video. There's not even a hint of Mura, which is a blotchy unevenness that you can get on some OLED panels. I don't have any sharpness problems anywhere. In a game like Star Citizen where textures are so detailed you can see individual stitches, you really appreciate resolution in a whole new way. Of course, I'm bearing the lead here. Everyone's interested in comfort, and this thing weighs practically nothing. We normally upgrade the head strap because they're almost never comfortable out of the box. Take the Quest 3, it also has a woven strap that doesn't do nearly enough to take the weight of the unit off your face. Same is true with the PlayStation VR 2. With that, I needed a head strap upgrade to even keep the sweet spot steady enough to use the thing since it was so front heavy. My favorite solutions to this are usually Halo style straps, big rigid ones that wrap your skull and take the weight off your face. People have already asked me if a Halo strap is coming for the Dream Air, so I reached out and asked Pimax directly before I even received this unit. The answer was they have no plans for it right now. They're focused on getting production out the door and improving the software side of things. That's completely fair. But after using it, I don't even think it needs one at all. This thing weighs so little that the strap it comes with is more than enough. It's incredibly comfortable. I've worn this all day. Seriously, I took off work the day before this review to spend as much time with the product as I could, and comfort has not been an issue once. The whole reason we reach for a Halo strap is to fight the weight that this headset just doesn't have. And speaking of the strap, the cord is separated on both sides of the headset, which I didn't think I'd like as much as I do. It's a really nice design to balance the headset. With a headset this lightweight, if the cord was on only one side of your head, I think I would probably feel that. There are two versions of the Dream Air. The headset I'm using is the Slam version. This headset utilizes cameras to track its position in space, which is known as inside-out tracking. It also comes with two controllers that seem to be the same controllers Pimax has used since at least the Crystal Light was launched. They're serviceable for what they are, they're not spectacular, you'll use them and they're fine. I've had no problems with tracking at all. If you remember my first review of the Crystal Super, I had issues with tracking that they eventually fixed with firmware upgrades. This one's good to go out of the box. Star Citizen includes a recenter headset option that's defaulted to number 5 on the number pad, and I've put that button on my HOTAS as well. This allows me to lean back when I'm piloting and get into a more comfortable position without screwing up my VR view. If you already have base stations or you want to use high-end controllers like the Knuckles from Valve, there's a Lighthouse version of this headset available too. Matching the feature set from the Crystal Super, the Dream Air also has built-in eye tracking, which lets it use dynamic foveated rendering. That's where the GPU only renders the small part of the screen where your eye is actually looking at in full resolution, which gives you a big boost in performance. It's a feature that needs to be developed into the game, and Sylvan CIG has already said that he wants to bring it into Star Citizen. The Dream Air also supports quad views, and you can see it working in the Pimax home screen. It renders a sharp image where you're looking and a low-res view everywhere else. The part your eye isn't focused on so your brain never sees it. I had to calibrate my eye tracking first to get it working right. When I first got the headset, I thought something was wrong with my screens. Looking dead ahead, it was blurry, but if I looked down a little, it was sharp. As soon as I calibrated, everything was good to go. I'm telling you this so you don't freak out like I did. Honestly, if it hadn't been a little misaligned before I calibrated, I'd have never known the feature was even on. When it's working right, you don't notice it all, which is the whole point. I've been really positive on the headset so far, so I want to talk about the things that I'd change because there are a few issues that this headset does have. The biggest one for me is light bleed, where ambient light makes its way into the headset while you're wearing it. How much this is going to impact you is dependent on your nose and facial shape. With my face, the headset seals well on the sides, not that well on the top, and the nose leaks a lot of light. For my brother-in-law, his nose is bigger, but his head is smaller. He's able to block the nose light, but his face can't fully seal the outside of the headset. It's too narrow. So, when the screen goes fully black, like in a loading screen or a dark menu, the light in your room catches on the edges of the lenses and you can see little semicircles there. It's not glare really, nobody's getting blinded, but it's there and I notice it mainly because I'm on a static screen and my eyes have nothing else to do. The second there's anything bright on the screen, it's gone completely. So for most of what you actually play, you'll never see that. In dark moments, you might. And unfortunately for us, tightening the strap didn't fix it. I've cranked it down until it hurts and the light still finds a way in, same as my brother-in-law. It's definitely a seal thing with the facial interface, not the strap. The strap's solid. I can make that go away if I use my hands to try to block as much of the light as possible, so it's something I think can be fixed. Pimax created a completely modular headset here. The facial interface comes off, the strap comes off. I'm convinced both are designed to be swapped. So it's entirely possible Pimax will build a better sealing interface down the road, and I've given them my feedback about it. I'm not promising you that they will, so buy this based on what's in the box today, but the door's open for it to get even better. Hell, the door's open for them to do the Halo strap anyway if there's a market for it. And since it's modular, I'd love to see them do a flip-up Halo version for Star Citizen. I could really use the ability to flip up the headset if I need to and flip it down when I want to be in VR, especially when I'm hunting for a key or a button I rarely use. There's a Y connector where both sides of the cords meet behind your head before it runs to your PC. It gets a little warm when I'm playing. I'm not going to say it's hot, but you'll feel it. I reached out to Pimax to make sure I wasn't having an issue and they told me that that's normal. It's not necessarily a con, but I did want to mention it. The pass-through cameras are black and white on these, same as the Crystal series. I'm not sure why they went black and white. I'd guess cost, but it could be other things like latency or performance. The Quest 3s are full color for comparison. Color pass-through cameras are really nice to have once you've seen them, and at this price point, I'd expect the best. The other knock on it is the field of view. It's around 110 degrees horizontal, and it's narrower than the Crystal Super by about 6 degrees. 6 degrees isn't a lot, but if you're coming from like the Crystal Super Ultra Wide at 144 degrees, I think you're going to be in for a shock. It certainly didn't ruin anything for me, as the form factor more than makes up for it, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend it's as big as it gets, because it certainly isn't. That's part of the trade-off for this size and this clarity, and I'll gladly take that. And then, of course, there's the price. PC VR is pay to play. The model I'm testing is $2,300, and no matter how you slice it, this is a premium product at a premium price. You can save $300 if you already have base stations and controllers. You also need a real PC to drive it. For Star Citizen, we're looking at 4090, 5080, 5090 territory. If your machine's modest, this isn't the headset for you yet. I want to be upfront about that, so nobody drops $2,000 and then gets mad at me if they have problems. And what do I think about it? Man, I love this thing. None of the flaws I mentioned are enough to change that. CIG made some serious FPS improvements in 4.8 that make full-time VR possible for me now, and I think I may default to that going forward. I tuned it to 70% resolution in Pimax Play, so I'm getting 60 plus FPS everywhere, and the game is crystal clear still. I don't feel the headset on my head. All of these things are wins. This is the pinnacle of the VR experience. There are lightweight headsets out there with cut-down features, and they compromise in some other way. And they can never be on this level, even if performance improves, because they're already capped out on resolution. When dynamic foveated rendering is in, I can crank the resolution up to 100 and then be shocked all over again while getting a crazy frame rate. That's something you can't do on a headset with mid-level resolution. I'll go further than I usually do. I've worn just about everything now, and if somebody told me that I had to keep this one for the rest of my time playing VR, I wouldn't think twice. I would gladly do it. This is such a good experience. Well, how do they improve on this? Well, obviously, fixing the little tiny things I brought up. There's only 2 improvements I can see them making: field of view and refresh rate. This form factor, man, the comfort of this is peak VR. For me personally, this is the one. Your mileage depends on your wallet and your PC, but I've made my choice. I think that VR is going to struggle to get better than this. But if you're thinking about jumping into VR for this game, now is a great time with Pimax mid-year sale going through July 10th. There's free global shipping site-wide, all Crystal Super purchases get a free DMAS audio upgrade included, and in addition to discounted bundles, there's a VR upgrade program where you can get an additional $80 off if you had a previous VR headset, and then you switch to Pimax. You keep the old one, they're just rewarding you for your business. Everything stacks with my code Katarn as well. I know many people are on the fence about Pimax for whatever reason, and I'm going to make it easier for you. If you purchase a headset and use my code Katarn at checkout, I will pass on any issue you might have to my contacts to get you escalated support. Simply join my Discord, message me with your order number, and I really wouldn't offer this unless I was confident that they're going to support you. And that's the Dream Air. It's the best screen I've ever used, the lightest thing I've ever worn. It has one real flaw in the light and a couple trade-offs you should know about going in, but man, this thing is the real deal. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the verse.